What is up, guys? The doctor's back in the office, and today I'm doing a full card breakdown of UFC Fight Night, Aljamain Sterling, Long Island's finest, versus Youssef Zalal. Who gives a fuck about Youssef Zalal? Aljamain Sterling, that's my guy. There's already bias in this video. If you want to click right off, you can. Aljamain Sterling, this guy didn't grow up too far from me on Long Island. He's the fucking man. I get he's a little corny on Twitter sometimes, and you might not think he's the most fun to watch, but his resume is very good. He's a legend of the game, in my opinion. And this Apex card is honestly pretty good. Aljo versus Youssef Zalal, I think, is going to be a really good fight. Dumont versus Jocelyn Edwards, I think, is a really high-level women's bantamweight fight. You know, Alexander Hernandez, Rafa Garcia, that should be a good one. Davy Grant, oh my days. Davy Grant, the crafty vet himself, is back. Montel Jackson versus Barcellos is a great one. Barcellos finally getting a chance to be fucking ranked. You know, Marcus Buchecha's on this card too, one of the worst fighters you ever see. The Felon, Cedriques Dumas is back. Cody Durden spawns in on another card. If you're new here, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and let's start off with the early prelim opener of Toledo Alencar versus Julia Polastri. Now, with Toledo Alencar, you're looking at this, you know, pretty good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist who can kind of kick on the outside, you know, is going to try and get you to the grounds by any means. Obviously, her picture right here is her at some fucking BJJ tournament. She's grappling another woman, most likely. Looking back, looking back. She's looking to take your back. You know, she really has no defense on the feet. She seems to slow down in pretty much all later rounds. Now, the thing about Julia Polastri is, and I'll give her this, maybe she's not the best, most technical fighter, most technical striker you ever see, but she does put on fun fights. There's a reason why her name's the fucking Psycho. She's just wild, throws these teeps, these calf kicks, you know, mostly on the outside, and she's a volume striker. She's got these long combos. She's very dangerous. The one worry that I have for her in this fight, though, is her takedown defense is not really great. She got slammed a ton by Lupi Gordinez. I mean, I know Lupi, she slams a lot of bitches, but she got slammed pretty bad in that one. You know, both kind of have opposite strengths. With Toledo Alencar, you're looking at, you know, a really dominant grappler, really great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist. And Julia Polastri, you're looking at this high-volume striker who actually can get finishes for the division. And most of the time, you probably go here and say, lean the grappler anytime you're 50-50. But fuck it. We've been getting kind of a lot of, you know, women's finishes lately. And honestly, I'm just going to go with the one woman who can get more finishes. And I'm not even going to take her by finish. I'm going to take her by decision. But I think she's going to do more damage to Toledo Alencar. And Alencar just slows down too late for me to trust her. I don't trust her gas take enough. I'm going to go with Julia Polastri by decision. Up the card, we go to Max Griffin versus Victor Valenzuela. Max Griffin, how fucking old is this guy? 40 years young versus Victor Valenzuela, who's a crisp 32. Damn, he's fucking old. But Max Griffin, he's kind of a power puncher. He's got pretty good footwork. You know, throws mostly 1 to 2 punches at a time. It's pretty low volume, but, you know, is good. His wrestling defense sucks. Again, he's low volume, and that kind of causes him to lose a lot of close decisions like we saw recently against Chris Curtis, and I almost said Curtis Blades. Chris Curtis in his last fight. Valenzuela, he's going to be very aggressive. Throws that lead hook a ton. At distance, he'll spam the fucking calf kick at you. He's also pretty good in the clinch. You know, maybe not technical, but he will find knockouts. And I kind of lean Valenzuela because he has shown improvement. Like, he lost in the Contender Series, but I think he won one more fight on the regional scene after that. Max Griffin just so old. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. Like, he is kind of a crafty vet. He does make a lot of fights close, and he can definitely fluke you out, but he's on a 2-fight losing streak. When you lose a split decision to Chris Curtis, I don't really know if I can confidently pick you to win fights anymore. Also got subbed by the GOAT Michael Chiesa in his last one. So I'm going to pick Victor Valenzuela by a round 2 knockout in this one. I think he's going to find it against old man Max Griffin. Now, this fight kind of recently got added, and truth be told, I didn't do a ton of research on it. I know this is Lucas Brennan's debut. And Francis Marshall, Eric Silva, is that who he just beat by submission? Yes, he just beat Eric Silva by submission. I'm going to take Francis Marshall in this one by decision. The Fireman, good grappler, seems to have gotten a little bit. Who did he lose to before? He beat the Bazooka. Who the fuck cares? We're taking down Francis Marshall by decision. Up the card, we go to an actual one I'm kind of excited to talk about. Filho versus Cody Durden. And I said it earlier in the video, Cody Durden literally just comes out here and spawns on cards. Like, he just fought a month ago against Tumen Dembro, where he looked like shit, but he just seems to pop up on every single card. And I think it's time to retire, buddy. He's lost 5 of his last 6. Got finished in 3 of them. Looked terrible again in his last fight, where I think he was like getting out grappled and then was complaining that nothing was happening. And I was like, Cody Durden, you fucking suck. But again, he just spawns under these cards. But with Jalfa Filho, you're looking at a guy who, now here's a guy in Jalfa Filho, not to go full Collinsworth there, but he's a submission artist, really good submission artist, wild ground game, will throw calf kicks on the outside, spam hooks and overhands, and he does hit pretty hard, and he'll push a good pace on you. And primarily he's going to shoot in on double legs. And when he gets you to the ground, he's got nice arm triangles, back takes, beat Clayton Carpenter by Kimura in his last fight. Can kind of get tagged up by how wild he is, but I don't really worry about that with a guy like Cody Durden who sucks now. Like Cody Durden, like used to be really wrestling heavy, or is he really even now? Well, he kind of just keeps kind of a pretty good pressure on the feet. Boxing isn't clean. He's very open to counters, and he's just very washed. His gas tank's gone. His gas tank used to be pretty good. Got schooled by Alan Nascimento in his last fight, who Filho also lost to, but they kind of fight fairly similarly. And an enemy. I'm going to take Jalfa Filho by round 1 submission in this one. I just think Cody Durden, man, it's time to hang it up. I get like they kind of just throw you on cards to, just be like, oh, Cody Durden's on there. If you watch the sport enough, you know who he is. But again, he just fought a month ago, and I'm like, how is he back already? But I'm moving up the card to Mayra Bueno Silva versus Michelle Montague. I'm going to take Michelle Montague in this one. Mayra Bueno Silva, there was a time where she was pretty good. She is pretty dangerous, as a Muay Thai striker, has some sub game, has power in her bag, and is pretty good with her technique, but she doesn't move her head whatsoever. Her takedown sucks. She always slows down after round 1 and has gotten worse really on, what is she on, a 3-5 losing streak? I just took a guess. Is her fucking nickname Shitara? She's on a 4 or 5-5 losing streak. I think 4, because she beat Holly Holm before with Kel Pennington. But people forget, man, she fucking fought for the belt. She beat Holly Holm and then fought with Kel Pennington and lost. But yeah, she's just not very good anymore. You're looking at Michelle Montague and you're seeing, a wrestler who is pretty strong on the feet. She's just gonna kind of put pressure on you. She's very hittable, but she'll shoot it on double legs and just grind you up against the fence. And when she gets you down, she's gonna put a lot of heavy ground and pound on you, try and take the back, work the rear naked choke. I think she's gonna win this one by decision. I do worry that she is pretty hittable. And Silva does hit hard, but you never really know. And there has been a lot of crazy women's finishes lately. So is it the worst idea if you were like, Mayra Bueno Silva's getting a finish here? No, but I think Michelle Montague looked pretty solid in her debut, even though she was still hittable in that one against Luana Carolina. So I'm going to take her by decision in this one. Yeah, I like Michelle Montague by decision. Up the card, we go to Cedrique's dumbass versus Jackson McVey. Another one that I don't even really want to predict. It's going to be a goofy fight, that. But it is so weird. It is 50-50 because I don't think both these guys are very good. I lean Jackson McVey because I think he's had a tough go at it to the UFC so far where he got destroyed by Bruno Ferreira in his debut, which, that's a tough debut. And then he's going up against Zachary Russo, who's kind of like a little bit of a crafty vet himself. And, that was kind of a wild fight where there was crazy sequences in the clinch with elbows and knees. And that's where Jackson McVey, that's where he likes to fucking live at. He's really good in the clinch with his knees and his elbows. At range, he kind of sucks. Has good offensive submission game, but his ground game overall, defensively, is pretty bad. His takedown defense sucks. And, when you're looking at Cedrique's Dumas, it's a guy who can really do nothing well. He can kind of wrestle, but he's really a jack of no trades. He is the people will forget man. You are a jack of no trades. Yeah, how did he make 185? Or not how didn't he make 185? But just, he's going to fight behind these kind of long jabs, try and get double legs on. You can't really move that well on the outside. It's not really dangerous anymore. I could see a world where because I guess the one thing Cedrique's Dumas can kind of do well is wrestle. So I could see a world where maybe he just out wrestles Jackson McVey and kind of wins a boring decision. But I kind of have some faith that Jackson McVey should be able to defend at least one Cedrique's Dumas takedown and keep it in the clinch and just beat him up in there. I'm going to take him by a round 2 TKO. Again, I have no confidence here whatsoever. Loser leaves town match, essentially. If Cedrique's Dumas loses, he's getting fucking cut. And Jackson McVey, you're probably getting cut too, because why would they keep an 0-3 guy around? And the weird thing about the Cedrique's Dumas in his last fight was he actually defended and had some, I don't know if I'd say good moments against Dante Johnson in the grappling, but he didn't get destroyed until the second round and that. So maybe I'm kind of trying to talk myself into Rodriguez Dumas here, but I'm not going to fucking take him. I just think he's going to get cut and he sucks. Up the card we go to, I think this is a feature fight on the prelims. Rodolfo Vieira versus Eric McConico. Close fight. I kind of like this one. It is pretty interesting. You know, McConico used to wrestle a lot early in his career. Now kind of just strikes and gets you along the fence and beats you up, works off his jab pretty well at range. His defense overall sucks everywhere, but his takedown defense isn't terrible. You kind of saw it work well against Susurkayev, so maybe that's not the best barometer of how good your takedown defense is. But Vieira is really good on... I almost said Rodolfo Vieira is really good on the feet. No, Rodolfo Vieira is a fucking pretty sick grappler. On the feet, he's mostly working the jab. Again, he's a submission grappler. Struggles against kind of dudes who are fast and have these loopy punches, but he'll shoot in on literally anything. He's going to work for a rear naked choke when he gets you down, the arm triangle, transitions between them very nicely, is effective against dudes who are cans. I don't know. I have to invent a term for a guy because I was trying to go through this. Like, there's a crafty vet, and then there's like a level below crafty vet, and then there's can, and then there's like whatever. I'd say Jose Medina, that guy's below a can. So you know what I mean? Like, where is Eric McConico? Is he a can, or is he, you know, is there something in between a can, a journeyman, and a crafty vet? Is there something else between those three, or amongst those three? So I don't know, but I'm gonna take Rodolfo Vieira by submission in this one. I'm going to go round 2 sub for Rodolfo Vieira. He's going to get a bounce back after losing to Bo Nickel. You know, he got fucking slimed down that one. But those are my picks for the prelims. Up the card, we go to Marcus Buchecha versus Ryan Spann. Again, the main card for this is filled with a lot of names. I'll say that. Now, Marcus Buchecha, I vow to never pick this guy ever again after the Kenny Nezachekwu performance and the Martin Boudet one. So he'll not be getting picked in this one. He sucks. He's a BJJ guy, kind of Ryan Hall maxing, you know, really has nothing on the feet. He'll throw a ton of bad hooks and overhands. Doesn't really want to get hit. Has no real grit whatsoever, but he does have power though. That's the one thing. He just has no clue how to set it up. He's never been to a boxing class in his life. Again, he'll shoot on really, you know, anything, mostly single legs as of lately. And he has added ground and pound to his game on the ground, but he's mostly going to try and set up subs. I mean, this guy had fucking Kenny Nezachekwu and fucking full mount and couldn't get a finish. So that should tell you all you need to know about him. Ryan Spann, obviously a guy who's a dangerous finisher. His fight IQ is terrible. He's going to jab on the outside with calf kick on the outside. Enter into the pocket with his cross. Can blast double legs on you. You know, his cardio sucks. His takedown defense sucks. His fight IQ is terrible. And sometimes it seems like he's trying to lose. But for some reason, I can't pick Marcus Buchecha because I don't think he can actually fight. At least Ryan Spann, I've seen this guy, you know, knock people out and sub people. I think his last 2 wins were by submission. And the weird thing is in this one, I'm not going to pick Ryan Spann by submission. But he has, again, won his last 2 fights in the UFC by guillotines, where I could see where we're maybe snapping a front headlock and getting a sub. And how funny would that be to submit a grappler like Marcus Buchecha? But I'm going to go with Ryan Spann by early round 2 TKO. I just think Marcus Buchecha, you absolutely suck, and Ryan Spann, I'm going to take it. Obviously, could he lose this because his fight IQ is terrible and his takedown defense is? Yes, but I think Marcus Buchecha just can't take fucking punches. So I'm going to take Ryan Spann by finish. Jesus Christ. I got to get fired up for this one. Montel Jackson versus Raoni Barcellos. This is the fucking Rock versus John Cena. And I've seen some people on the internet taking Montel Jackson. And I don't really know why anybody ever hyped this guy up because he beat fucking Daniel Marcos and then he beat Dumont Blackshear by finish. I never thought he was that good. And you're facing a guy in Raoni Barcellos who's on a 4-fight winning streak. Best part of his career he's on right now, even though he's old as shit. He's the king of crafty vet performances. And we'll get to another crafty vet, Davey Grant, later in this video. That Ricky Simone fight, his last one, was it was interesting because their grappling negated each other and it was mainly on the feet. And Raoni Barcellos did a better job on the feet than Ricky Simone and got that win. You know, Montel Jackson's a dude who has a wrestling background, but now he really only strikes. He's going to fight behind that jab at range. He's going to try and fucking bomb you with the 1-2. And that's how he's going to beat you when you come in. Can be pretty low volume, and he'll throw these weird hooks in the pocket that they don't really make sense. And he'll mix in like foot sweeps and double legs every now and then. And his takedown defense is questionable. I mean, the fact that this guy looks so... Just like, how do you not finish a withered Devison Figueiredo at this point in his career. It was just so odd. I think he was like a minus 400 favorite and lost that one. And Howdy Barcellos, the guy who's a really good wrestler, can catch kicks and get takedowns, get double legs, high pressure on the feet where he's spamming hooks. His BJJ is good. On the feet, I don't think he's anything special, but he can kind of get away with it because he'll push a pretty good pace on you and has pretty good head movement. And along the fence, he can get control on you and kind of just smudge you and craft up a crafty decision win. Again, I don't get ever the Montel Jackson glaze. I just don't want this guy in here. Howdy Barcellos, welcome to the top 15, buddy. Knowing what the UFC is going to do with Howdy Barcellos, right? He's going to win this by 29-28 decision. And then they're going to throw Ethan Ewing against Howdy Barcellos, and he's going to fucking slime him out. You know what I mean? Like, Howdy Barcellos will never get favorable matchups, even though this one is very winnable for him. Up the card, we go to Davy Grant versus Adrian Luna Martinetti. Even though I think Adrian Luna Martinetti is from Ecuador. He is, so... Adrian Luna Martinetti. Again, it always goes back to fucking Italian. But Davy Grant, the true definition of a crafty vet. Lost his last one pretty bad at Charles Jourdain. But again, he's a guy who's going to throw a ton of variation of kicks. Weird outside hook kicks. Just a lot of weird shit. Double jab cross to close the distance. Spam hooks inside, which he's pretty decent at. And, the one thing he kind of struggling against is dudes who are just faster and more athletic than him. And his takedown defense is kind of questionable. You could hold him down. If you could hold down Davy Grant, there's going to be serious problems. And you're facing a guy in Adrian Luna. I think I've said you're facing a guy at least 20 times in this video. But you're facing a guy in Adrian Luna Martinetti who, he's going to put a ton of pressure on you, get in the pocket, work the clinch, blast knees and elbows, get takedowns along the fence. It's going to hunt submissions. It is an interesting fight because Martinetti absorbed a ton of damage in that Vologden fight in the Contender Series in not really his debut, but you know what I mean, on the Contender Series. I don't know if Davy Grant can do the same amount of damage that Mark Vologden did. I know you might be like, Mark Vologden sucks. I don't think Mark Vologden sucks, but he, I don't think he's the most technical, but he fucking did a lot of damage to Adrian Luna Martinetti. I just think Davy Grant can't do enough damage to Adrian Luna Martinetti to do this. And eventually the crafty vet thing's got to fucking run out. He is 40 years young. And I think Adrian Luna Martinetti's like 9 years younger. I'm going to take Martinetti by late round 3 knockout or decision. I just think Davy Grant, the crafty vet run, has got to end eventually. Up the card, we go to Rafa Garcia versus Alexander Hernandez. I'm going Hernandez here by TKO. Rafa Garcia is a pretty good pocket boxer and wants to trade the pocket. He beat Jared Gordon after he got hit by a fucking car, which in doing because obviously you go through people's topologies and you're trying to remember fights back. And this was one of the first few cards I did on this channel, which is crazy, 7 months ago or 8 months ago, whenever I started this channel. But Jared Gordon, which nobody knew, none of the bettors knew until after the fight, or maybe it was as the fight was going on. This dude got hit by a car walking like 2 days before the event and still fought and ended up getting finished. But that was Rafa Garcia's last win was against the dude who got hit by a car before the fight. And I don't even think he knocked him out till like the second or third round. But he's not a guy who I don't think is this beautiful looking boxer, but he can kind of go into or beautiful wrestler, excuse me. He can kind of go to it when needed, but it's not great. Has decent submission game. And he can kind of mess up poorly timed shots if you shoot on him with guillotines. And his power isn't really anything insane. And Hernandez, I think, is pretty well-rounded. He's on a really nice run. I think he's on a 4-fight winning streak. Beat Chase Super, fluked our boy Diego Ferreira in that one. I was so fucking pissed when Alexander Hernandez did that shit. He's going to find the outside, more. That's probably where he's effective. Can kind of explode in with that 1-2 on the back foot. He's trying to pull you into a counter straight, can blast double legs and kind of control you on the ground. It's not going to cement you or anything. I just figure Hernandez should be able to pick apart Rafa Garcia on the outside. And, Garcia wants to get this fight in close, and I could just see him walking in and eating some punch from Alexander Hernandez, and Rafa Garcia gets fucking put on live leak, and you're like, lo siento, Alexander Hernandez, like, lo siento, Rafa, lo siento, I'm so sorry. Now I went to Asian from fucking Spanish, but I just like Alexander Hernandez in this one by round 2 TKO. Rafa Garcia is decent in my opinion, but I just don't think he's better than Alexander Hernandez. Up the card, we go to a pretty good co-main in Norma Dumont versus Jocelyn the Beast La Pantera Edwards. And Jocelyn Edwards is on a really nice run right now. I think she's got 4 wins in a row, and they're all by finish. Norma Dumont, I think she's won 6 in a row. And who did Jocelyn Edwards just beat? Actually, I could check. I don't know. I got a fake hardcore. Fucking Nora Cornell. She just knocked her ass out. So, or submitted her, excuse me. Dumont, though, I think is going to win this one. You know, she's very well rounded, like kind of this karate striker, good, you know, outside footwork and just good on the outside in general. You know, can get caught with takedowns because she's tall and fights tall. But I don't know. I think this fight's mostly going to be standing. I just got an email. I wonder who it's from. Edwards has gotten a lot better though. She's continuously improved. She's pretty well rounded. Has, you know, power, has sound technique for the division, can kind of lock in body locks on you to get you down on the ground and, you know, slam you and dunk you down. That's what she did into her cornhole in her last one. I just think Dumont's the better boxer, and you know, both are beautifully thick women, and I have nothing bad to say about them, but I just like Dumont better on the feet, better movement on the outside. I'm going to take her by unanimous decision, and I think she's kind of fucking getting lined up for a title shot soon. They're both pretty tall women. I'm 5'7" and 5'8". Those are my... Norma Dumont, I think you have a dude. I forget who you're dating, but hit me up. Jocelyn Edwards, not really my type. Up the card we go to Aljamain, the Funk Master Sterling versus Youssef, the Moroccan Devil Zalal. And I gotta understand something here. Why are people fucking picking Youssef Zalal and acting like Aljamain Sterling's washed? Was the Brian Ortega fight the best performance I've ever seen? I didn't even watch it because it was in fucking China and I wasn't getting up for that shit. I know Aljo. I know Long Island for life, but I wasn't getting up for that shit. I just think Aljamain Sterling is gonna fucking wrestle fuck this guy who has questionable takedown defense. You know, Aljamain Sterling's this, you know, guy who's going to get you down, backpack you, try and work to the back. You know, he's a really weird striker, though. Again, not good. I don't know who he's striking is over at Longo. Maybe I'll find out, actually, soon. But weird striker who'll kind of throw these overhands and hooks where he's shifting his weight in these weird ways, which kind of make it hard to counter, even though I wouldn't say he's good on the feet. Has great single and double legs, you know, again, on the ground's working to get that rear naked choke, or just backpack you for a round and take it off of control. Zalal is a grappler who has gotten a lot better in his second stint in the UFC. You know, has pretty good calf kicks on the outside. That's probably how he's going to win the first round. Has pretty good footworks, hard to hit. He's hitting you with that lateral movement. Fucking Kevin Garnett. And he'll shoot in on singles and doubles and immediately look for subs like fucking arm triangles. He did Josh Emmett pretty bad with, what was that, an arm bar? What was it? Yeah, an arm bar. That was one of the weirder arm bars you'll ever see. It was a verbal tap, I believe, to Josh Emmett. It was kind of an underrated submission of the year because there was no drama built up for it. It just kind of happened. You didn't really even know what was going on. But again, my whole thing with not picking Youssef Zalal is like his takedown defense is extremely questionable. He seems to slow down a lot later in fights. I know Zalal has the youth advantage, and I would say he's a better striker than Aljamain Sterling. But there's no way he's going to be able to match or even out-grapple Aljo in any way whatsoever. You know, Aljo forced arresting with Movzar and arguably won that. I don't think he did, but it was close, and I think he's going to force a wrestling match. I just trust the guy's cardio and his experience. Maybe Zalal takes another massive step up, and you're like, fuck, maybe this guy can be the featherweight champion. I don't really think so. I favor Aljamain Sterling by decision. Now, I do understand why some people are taking Aljo by like submission. I've seen a lot of rear naked choke kind of comparing this fight a little bit to the Sandhagen one. I just have trouble picking Aljamain Sterling by finish. And it's no disrespect to Aljo. He's my guy. But this guy, you know, he's coming in here to fucking beat you out to a decision. I just don't think Youssef Zalal can either fluke a knee or out-grapple Aljamain Sterling. And I think Aljo's going to win this by 49-46 unanimous decision. Really just put on a grappling masterclass. It's a really high-level skilled fight. I know I've kind of shit on Youssef Zalal a little bit, but he's very talented and has really worked himself into, you know, I'm not saying his title aspirations are dead. How old is he? 30? 29? He's not old by any means. He can get himself back in the title picture even with this loss. I just think Aljo is that good and he's underrated, and it'll be interesting to see what happens to the winner of this one, because Aljo's been kind of angling for a title shot for a while. But the UFC, first of all, they don't like Aljamain Sterling. He's not that fun to watch. No offense. I like watching high-level, you know, wrestling like Aljamain Sterling, but that's not the casual fan's cup of tea, and that's fine. I'm not going to hate on you for saying you don't like to watch Aljamain Sterling and you find him annoying on Twitter. I would probably agree with both of those takes. But you know he's going to win this one and get on the mic and fucking talk, you know, with the Bay Harbor, or whatever, what's his drink? I should know this. The fucking whiskey that he puts out now. And he's going to get on the mic and start talking about, you know, I deserve a title shot. I'm the folks scared to fight. Just a bunch of bullshit. And realistically, what's going to happen to Aljamain Sterling is he's going to win this, right? He's going to say he wants to fight for the title. He's not going to. And they're probably going to give him like a John Silva after John Silva beats Yair, or maybe John Silva never even fights Yair and they just do John Silva versus Aljamain Sterling, and then he's probably going to get slimed out that way. That's my worry for Aljamain Sterling, and that's what I think is going to happen. Now, if he beats John Silva, then we're talking Aljamain Sterling's fucking, he's winning the belt. But, and if Youssef Zalal wins, I think he's probably going to have like some kind of a similar case, like, oh, I just beat Josh Emmett and Aljamain Sterling. I think I'm on a 5-fight win streak since coming back to the UFC. And again, Movzar is just so undeniable at this point for the title shot that it's not going to happen. If they don't want to go Movzar, they'll just go John Silva. So I'm going to take Aljamain Sterling by decision and lock it in that he's going to get on the mic in front of the 50 people in the Apex and say he deserves a title shot, and somebody will probably boo him. But those are my predictions. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Again, if you're new here, remember to like, comment, subscribe. The doctor is signing off.